Hello everyone, I'm Lydia Kurniawati. I'm going to present about exploring learner autonomy in online language learning in Stay Sapiens Story Imaginum. The impact of the coronavirus outbreak on the education system is inevitable that higher education institutions choose to transform their instructional practices to enter online using specific platforms. This even may negatively affect learning outcome as learning in a social activity that requires participants in a social group and interaction with member of group, Class Live Pro, Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp group, Telegram, Google Meeting, and other telecommunication technologies may be useful in this situation. However, they do not significantly give a real and authentic connection. The year 2020 was commented by the coronavirus outbreak that gave an impact on the education system across the globe. Indonesia, through the Ministry of Education, has issued that restriction of school and campuses to conduct classroom situations. Instructional practices. Consequently, all teaching and learning activity are shifted to distance learning or some other name with an equal concept as online learning, virtual learning, or learning from home. What we do? It potentially result in negative impact on learning quality, but at the same time, impact the home lives of teacher, student, and their parents. The shifting of the education system by the digital online learning is implemented as the impact of the pandemic demands student-centered learning rather than teacher-centered learning. Online learning has been the only choice for ongoing instructional practice during the COVID-19 crisis. The benefits are flexible. However, some drawbacks are also there. The challenges such as the absence of organized, mandatory, bonding, face-to-face classroom activity, which may affect their ability for autonomous learning. This even may negatively affect learning outcome as learning in a social activity that requires participants in a social group and interaction with members of group. Autonomous learning. Due to this condition, the students are deemed to be independent learners and they cannot directly have guidance from the teacher or lecturers. Independent student and also known as autonomous learner. Autonomous learners are people who can take charge of their learning independently to make decisions about what to learn and are motivated in the learning process. Research method. This is case study aiming and investigating the student. Perception of being an autonomous learner in online learning due to the coronavirus pandemic. The participants of this study were 25 students in the second semester. The instructional practice were held using the WhatsApp group. This platform allows learners and teachers to share multimodal text as a written text, voice notes, pictures, and videos. The application is used in all, but not limited to. The meeting where the learn and demand to practice actively. This study used an online questionnaire and obtained data, online interview, and self-report. The participant filled ALQ, or Autonomy Learner Questionnaire, which is adopted from Caragol 2018 and in Radar 2010, and 5 random students were selected for the interview. Descriptive analysis will be used to interpret the data gained from an interview. In scrolling the data, the scale from the Likert scale were ranked, and its scale for the different point. How it works. The distribute questionnaire aimed at investigating the learned perception of readiness of cell direction. The data from the questionnaire is analyzed and shown in 5 tables. Student readiness for self-direction in online learning and their perception of the benefit of online learning. The mean of this first item show 4.12, which is dominated by the student perception that the online learning gives them the flexible in terms of time. While the mean of the second item show 4.36, in higher than the first item, that most of the students states online learning still keep their communication. The statement in the second dimension concerned with learn. Belief relaxing to the independent work in language learning from 3 items. The highest mean in the first item, which show that the most of the students are not having the willingness to continue online learning, and they need the teacher to guide them. The second item shows that most of the students are not able to learn to work on their own by online learning. Supported by the last item, which indicate the same, or the student could not solve their problem without teacher help. In brief, the student belief about independent work in language learning are still low. Student perception of the important classroom and teacher. The third dimension, which concern of importance of class or teachers, show the highest mean in the second item. It indicates that the student most need the teacher beside them. Is it supported by the first and third item that they prefer to have face-to-face learning to get direct guidance from the teacher and work together with their friend? In conclude, the students still consider for importance of class and teacher. Fourth dimension concerns teacher. Rule relates the explanation and supervision. It shows that the highest mean in the first item. It indicates that students need to teacher explanation. They are also prefer to have direct feedback rather than writer feedback in online learning. Is it supported by the third item that they like to get direct supervision from the teacher? Is it conclude that the student count on teacher rule in explanation, supervision, and support? The questionnaire result conclude that the general students are still weak for being autonomous learn. From the fourth dimension, most of the students still need teacher guide and prefer to have face-to-face meeting rather than the online meeting, which shows student dependently and language learning. The students do not seem eager to learn autonomously, and they lack of the willingness to read and search material by their own in online learning. It revealed that 66.9% of the same student prefers to study in class or face-to-face meeting, while only 18.5% do not mind having online classes, even fewer. 14.6% enjoy both options. The interview result indicate that students did not feel comfortable with online language learning and were anxious about doing the rules. The learned level of the motivation is seen as the effect and is affected by their level of autonomy. Student answer prepared table relates to their feeling practical thing, problem technique to tackle these problems, and their view an optional requiring specific skill and way to dealing with learning texts. I'd like to conclude my presentation. The presentation study focused on exploring the student perception of learned autonomy in online language learning in Stay Sokhean Sauri Majenang. These results suggest a promising future and learned autonomy in a practical context. It reflects that the current instructional practice in online language learning demands a transition. It reflects that the current instructional practice in online language learning demands a transition period from the traditional approach, that student-centered approach. The student learning autonomy is weak and cannot demand to be autonomous learning as instant. The students still need direct support and guides, like a face-to-face meeting. It's also demand teacher role and knowledge provider, facilitator, manager, resources, and counselor. The finding of this study suggested that English language teachers must encourage autonomous learners in their online classroom. Moreover, the findings show that teachers more hindered by some difficulties, including learner, lack of independent learning skill, rules and regulation applies in school, and teacher lack of basic strategy and encourage autonomous learning. For further research, there is need to investigate the factor which influence to the student lack of the independent in online learning. All right, thank you.